What's up, guys? Marble Tyler here, and I am back, and I have to apologize because I know this video is late again. It's finals week. I'm just trying to get through college. I got 45-hour weeks at work while doing finals, so I'm really tired. And I'm trying to do this channel, and I absolutely love this channel. And as soon as this week's over, as soon as Wednesday, I'll be putting out more content. But beyond that, let's get to the actual point of this video. It is Sunday Top 10 on Monday or Tuesday, whenever I finish this. And we're doing the top 10 Halo games. Now, right off the bat, I want to state, these aren't quote-unquote my favorite top 10 Halo games, because, that would be based on memories and experience and everything else. So this isn't, my favorite list, but it is my interpretation of all the objective reasons why these games are good, how they did, all the different aspects, not just campaign, not just multiplayer, but all the other features, whether it's theater or forge or whatever, firefight. So, let's get into it. These are the top 10 Halo games. Starting with number 10, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to combine the Spartan Assault and Spartan Strike games. I'm going to combine them because there's really, including those, there's really only 11 Halo games, not including the VR experience or whatever. So with 11 Halo games, if we combine these, we can fit them all onto this list. And these games weren't bad. What they ended up being, they were top-down combat shooters, kind of. It was kind of a cool thing. If you like that kind of game, it wasn't bad. I had fun with it. There was fun to be had, but it wasn't really a Halo game. But it also had a killer soundtrack. At least the first one did. The first game focused on fighting the Covenant. The second one was the Prometheans. I mean, it is what it is. This game has a couple fans out there, and it's not awful by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not really comparable to the rest of the series. Up next, we have the first Halo Wars. Halo Wars 1 is one of my favorite Halo games. I put a lot of time into this game, but it makes it so far on the list because it wasn't a first-person shooter, which is fine, but it was a very, very dumbed-down strategy game. It was simplistic. It was designed for, a controller for Xbox. It wasn't on PC until recently. It was really a simplified, strategy game that it was good. There was fun to be had. But there wasn't much to it. It did introduce one of the greatest characters and one of the greatest, yeah, again, fake words all the time. One of the greatest set of Spartans we've seen in the Halo universe, Red Team, and then Sergeant Forge, played by essentially Nathan Drake. Awesome characters, but other than that, this game didn't have much to contribute, but it was still a ton of fun. I had a ton of fun with this. Moving on to number 8, we have Halo 4. Now I know, retrospectively, Halo 4 has one of the best campaigns in the series. I'm aware of that. But Halo 4 fails in almost every other aspect. Now the music was hit or miss. Some of the soundtracks were great. Some of them weren't Halo. I mean, it very much deviated. While the story is good as a character-driven story, there's a lot of things that are just confusing. It's got one of the worst cutscenes in all of Halo because it's so confusing. You don't understand what's going on. You have to know so much of the lore to understand literally the story. And the gameplay is dumbed down Call of Duty. I mean, that's all the factors that kind of just puts it way far on the list. It really didn't feel like Halo. It was an awesome story of the Master Chief and Cortana, but beyond that, it didn't really have much. Besides some cool new sounds. Like the 117 song was amazing, but everything else about it really kind of sucked, unfortunately. On to number 7. Some people might be upset about this one as well, but Halo 5. Halo 5 did some things right and improved upon the multiplayer. It basically set up this new crazy cool system. It just didn't really feel like Halo. It doesn't compare as well to, Halo 1 through 3 because those were trendsetters. This one kind of followed the trend. Now this one also had some great, moments to it. It had some cool additions. We had the custom games server browser. We had the Forge. That was it. The Forge was amazing. But it launched with very little content, unfortunately. The campaign was still pretty bad, and it just kind of followed the popular trend at this point. It didn't really make anything new, which is why, and plus the microtransactions, so that's why it ends up so low on the list compared to the rest of the series. Now for number 6, this was the hardest one, because I couldn't decide between Halo 5 or Halo 3 ODST, but we have Halo 3 ODST. This game, really, it was a spin-off. It built upon the Halo 3 engine. It didn't introduce a whole lot new, but it had a new campaign that was actually pretty good, new characters, a new story, a new silent protagonist. It followed the Halo 3 engine, but managed to make you feel weak and, kind of simplified your character a little bit. But it doesn't go higher on the list because there's not an actual multiplayer. If you got the game, they basically gave you all the DLC maps and all the regular maps for Halo 3's multiplayer, which is cool because it includes Halo 3's multiplayer, but that's Halo 3's, not ODST's. So beyond that, it did contribute one of the greatest modes, which was Firefight, and ODST's Firefight is my favorite version of all the firefights. But it doesn't have much to contribute past that. I don't remember there being a theater mode, in the campaign at least, and there wasn't really multiplayer. There was some great new characters, there was a great new story, great new setting, quote-unquote new setting, but beyond that, there wasn't much new to contribute. It was just kind of a continuation of Halo 3 in a different direction. Moving into our top 5, we have Halo Wars 2. Halo Wars 2 is actually not one of my favorites, but objectively, it does a lot right as a strategy game, as a top-down strategy game. It's very thorough. It brings, Halo to an actual kind of a little more in-depth system. It was on PC. There's crossplay. You can use controller. You can use mouse and keyboard. Whatever you're doing. There's more characters, and honestly, the campaign had some really, really unique, set pieces and moments for strategy game fans. I remember specifically the mission where you start as snipers, as well as it really made the characters from, I forget the ship's name, but Red Team and Commander, it's going to elude me, just going to go on, but Red Team and Isabel, there's just some of my favorite Spartans, especially, I'd love to see Jerome and Isabel more in the current Halo games, because they're some of my favorite characters right now. And for all its faults, yes, it's not a first-person shooter, but Halo Wars 2 is a phenomenal Halo game and a phenomenal strategy game, and it needs to be up on this list. Not to mention, it combines the art styles. It manages to blend the old and the new into a perfect, awesome, I don't know how to interpret it, just this beautiful, beautiful Halo-looking game. As for number 4, we have Halo Reach. Halo Reach is very controversial among the Halo community. Some people love it, some people hate it. I'm kind of in the middle. It had some things that I loved and some things that I hated. Halo Reach also introduced Forge World, or expanded upon the Forge system, and arguably has the best Forge in any Halo game, not in terms of a design standpoint, but in terms of an accessibility standpoint. Forge World was huge, and it allowed people to have all kinds of different maps, but it was super easy to get into and just fly around as an orb and build stuff, as opposed to current Forge, which is great because it allows you tons and tons of options, but it's kind of difficult for, people that are very casual. I'm not that good at Forge. Occasionally I pop in and screw around, but I can't really do that in Halo 5 because I just don't understand. It's just way too complex for me. On top of that, it brought back Firefight, and you could customize Firefight. It had online campaign. The campaign was pretty good in itself, introduced new characters, especially being a prequel. And it had just unique multiplayer. It was a solid Halo experience. Obviously, there was a controversy. There's a controversy with the introduction of armor abilities, but beyond that, it's a solid Halo experience. It's a great game. Obviously, it's one of the last. It was the last Bungie game, but it deserves the number 4 spot just for everything it contributed and culminated in this great Halo experience with its faults, but it was a great Halo experience nonetheless. Into our top 3, we have Halo Combat Evolved. Now, this revolutionized gaming because it introduced the duel system. It wasn't the first game to do it, but it was the first game to refine it, from what I believe. I don't have the statistics, but I'm pretty sure I heard that somewhere. But it refined the system because we have, the dual thumbsticks. We have the aiming on one side and the walking on the other, which at that point hadn't really been done. It created the console shooters for the most part. And it wasn't the first console shooter. Obviously, we had classics like GoldenEye, but it created the modern system that we still use today. Even dual weapons, only having 2 weapons and pressing Y to switch weapons and stuff like that. Things that are kind of common nowadays. That was invented around the time of Halo. On top of that, we're talking about one of the greatest mysteries, some of the greatest gaming music, created a cinematic story, and the multiplayer wasn't competitive, but it's very much a party atmosphere. And it was great for LAN parties, for everyone coming over to someone's house, going into the basement, setting up a bunch of TVs and playing Halo across 4 different Xboxes. That was it. That was great. That was Halo. And it set the foundation for shooters. It set the foundation for this great series. It absolutely deserves the number 3 spot. Now, to some people's, I guess, dismay, we have Halo 2. Halo 2 is the second spot. Now, Halo 2 introduced competitive multiplayer on Xbox Live and kind of launched Xbox Live, and it did an amazing job, and it was awesome. Even with its glitches, even with its faults, it had this great, awesome, action-focused, well-written campaign, and with a Master Chief, new characters that were kind of received well. Some people at first were taken back, but later on they became beloved characters, such as the Arbiter. And of course, we have the introduction of the Covenant side of the story, more set pieces, a second Halo ring, and it's just a great, sequel. I mean, there's not much to say beyond it. There's all kinds of cool stuff, but unfortunately, due to cut content, it didn't live up to what it could have been. Now, there was going to be a theater mode, there was going to be a couple other options, but it didn't end up living up to what it could have been, and the Legendary is so infuriatingly, difficult for no good reason, except they just didn't have time to, balance it and well balance it, which is sad in itself. But Halo 2, it created the online competitive atmosphere that was Halo. That was awesome. People played it for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games and hours, and it's just an absolute great time. Honestly, one of the best games, in my opinion, of all time, or one of my favorite games, obviously. But it is nor my favorite Halo game, nor is it I just said nor twice. What am I doing? It's not the number one spot. Moving on to number one, of course, is Halo 3. Now, the reason Halo 3 takes this number one spot isn't because opinion-wise or subjectively it's my favorite, but objectively it refined the multiplayer and it brought some sort of I'm gonna say a comeback from Halo 1, because Halo 2 deviated so far, but it kind of returned to its roots from Halo 1, and it brought back emotional things like set pieces and locations from Halo 1. It brought back music, it brought back the assault rifle, but managed to keep a lot of those Halo 2 elements as well. The multiplayer in Halo 3 was great. There weren't any glitches that you had to master. It was very well refined, and over time was balanced, well done, well refined. It introduced Forge mode, which allowed community creation with custom games and all this crazy stuff. Custom games had been around, but there's more options, and allowed the game to continue for years past itself, as well as theater mode, allowing for more montages and more red versus blue and more filming and all kinds of stuff like that. Halo 3 was the culmination of all kinds of objective little factors that made Halo a great phenomenon, a great experience on the Xbox 360, one of the best games of all time. Again, in my opinion, but also objectively, at the time, one of the best games of all time. And it takes our number one spot for the number one Halo game. But if you agree, if you would disagree, I want to hear your reasons. Obviously, this is kind of a subjective list, while some objective points. So seriously, let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more awesome Halo and gaming content. And I hope to see you in the game.